In a historic move, divorce in the United Kingdom became legally possible regardless of fault. I expect the divorce rate to increase now that a valid reason is no longer necessary. Amazingly, the United Kingdom didn't adopt this practice until about 40 or 50 years after the rest of the Western world had already done so. The sexual revolutionaries are correct that the traditional model of monogamous marriage has flaws, but it is also the most workable option currently available to us. The traditional role of the father was to provide for his family financially, while the traditional role of the mother was to stay at home and care for the children, because managing a household now requires less effort. Mothers of young children, like the majority of us, now have the option of working outside the home. But it's nearly impossible, especially on low pay, for single moms to successfully fulfill both the roles of mother and father at the same time. It doesn't help that many single mothers also have to hold down outside jobs. A woman cannot support and raise a healthy family on her own. If that's the case, how does she pass the time? As an opening statement, she argues that feminists have a mixed record of the institution of marriage. She continues by saying that modern weddings are so expensive that engaged couples can't get hitched until they've saved up for a lavish ceremony. Divorce rates are estimated to be nearly twice as high for unmarried parents as they are for married parents. When this happens, the kids have to decide whether they want to live with just mom or dad or with one of the step-parents, usually the stepdad. If I hear something like that, the first thing that comes to mind is to ask the person who said it to consider the children. For the sake of the kids and the women's safety, she hopes these men will settle down and start families. But what about the man who risks being raped during the divorce and having his life destroyed as a result? She'd like these dudes to tie the knot, right? Surely, I can't be the only one having this experience. Does this sound more like an attempt to put down men in common law relationships with married children? Doesn't anyone else think it's weird how obviously this is aimed at males? The majority of women today appear to have accepted the inevitable. Either they will be forced to spend their lives as single mothers and in conditions of poverty, or they will come to terms with the fact that their grown children are a source of embarrassment and will not be useful idiots and utilities to them in their later years. It's also possible that neither of these things will happen. The situation is urgent, and they need help right away. However, there appears to be no hope of rescue. It appears they require the services of a male utility. They are working hard so that they can provide for their families better with the money they earn. Given this, we might reasonably ask why the media is suddenly fretting over rising birth rates. Is it because of how hard it is for single mothers to raise their kids? Is it plausible that the government's push to increase birth rates among those with British ancestry is motivated by the low fertility rates? If this turns out to be true, it will be fascinating to see how it plays out. To me, this has always boiled down to a call for male enslavement so that taxpayers don't have to pay for single parents. When something goes wrong, women are quick to place blame on others and slow to accept responsibility for their part in the problem. Restoring accountability to its rightful owners, women, is the best course of action to take if our society is to regain even a shred of the old normalcy it once possessed. The woman is typically credited for success when things are going smoothly. However, he is the one who always seems to take the fall when things go wrong. Consequently, men have a more challenging time taking personal responsibility for their actions. Men will stop playing games with predetermined outcomes and disperse after a certain amount of time has passed. That's something that doesn't seem to register with our culture or with the vast majority of the ignorant people all over the world. In today's society, many feminists believe that human variety is what men really want. The prototypical better man is content to spend the rest of his life with his current partner and has no desire to date anyone else. If they believe that the only thing men want is sexual diversity, and that this is the reason why we aren't getting married, then it is clear that they do not understand men. However, it is possible that only the men who they find truly attractive hold this belief. They seem to make the same mistake as other women by failing to recognize men for who they truly are, and instead seeing them solely through the lens of their gender. Gens that improve the quality of life in practical ways for females and young people. Women want men to once again serve as breadwinners and protectors for their families. Moreover, She is attempting to trick us into doing so by relying on our sense of guilt to convince us to tie the knot. Like the poor men on the Titanic who sacrificed their lives to save women and children, you want us to feel guilty about reserving our seats for others. For all the feminists out there, I have just 2 pieces of advice. 1. Have all the girls work together to repeal the rights women were given in exchange for male attention and provision. And 2. Come back to man when you're ready to make some real concessions. To help us, please watch this video. Please subscribe and send this video to anybody you think will benefit from it the most.